Would you get through this quickly? I'd appreciate it.
Next level dedication, Mike, we appreciate it.
All right, so it's
What's that?
7.
I said next level dedication, thank you.
All right, so good evening. It's about 7:04. We shall start the meeting with the roll call, please.
Certainly, Justine Cimaroli,
Here.
Tim Nath, here. Mike Tolmer,
Here,
here. Dale Livingston,
No.
absent. And Joe Cower, absent as well.
All right, anybody would like to present up front of the meeting, public?
Sure.
You can choose to do it 3 minutes now or 5 minutes after the meeting, after the business meeting.
I'll wait till.
Okay, all right. So I need to, moving on, the adoption of the minutes for September 27th, 2021. Any questions, problems, or clarifications? All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make the motion.
Mike?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, so new business. The topic of discussion this evening is a request to rezone parcels 255-E-275 and 255-E-275 undeveloped Calvert Street lots. They want to be changed from conservation to residential 1. We do have the packages in front of us with all the documentation. We also have the petition to rezone the property from Keith and Roberta Walsh. They want to rezone parcel 255-E280 back to residential from conservation. Lot is buildable and there are plans for it to be developed. The adjacent property, including the unopened roadway, Wabash Avenue, is already zoned residential 1. Council accepted the Walsh petition as asking for comments from the Planning Commission. Anyone have any comments, suggestions, questions for Ms. Walsh?
I don't have any questions. We're including in this as well, though, the solicitor's recommendation, right, that the abutting parcel 255-E-275 be included in that as well, right?
Correct.
And it's just, for my clarification, maybe leave a question. I'm looking at the map. It's
Yeah.
just those 2 parcels, right? Because there's a number of comments in here where he says it gives a natural border to the residential versus the conservation. The rest of what I'm looking at in green there, outside of those 2 parcels at the very tip, would remain conservation, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
I have no reservations. I drove past there today. It would be great to see a home there. You got some turkeys to contend with, because there are constantly turkeys in that yard. I have no concern.
Mike, any questions, comments, recommendations?
I do not.
Okay, and you got all the documents, correct?
What's that?
Did you get all the documents from Joe?
Yes, I have, yes.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Walsh is here for questions if anybody has anything to ask. All right, so we're looking for a motion to recommend to the Borough Council a change in the zoning ordinance and map to rezone parcels 255-E-280 and 255-E-275 from conservation to residential 1. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Oh, yeah, that was easy. All right, so this, that's it. You'll be here at 12. council.
Okay.
All right, and I do believe at the November 13th meeting, and then it'll be forwarded to them, okay?
Alrighty.
All right?
So we would hear perhaps in December?
I think from his note, that was the intent, there's gonna be public comment, which I think is the 13th, in advance of the December council meeting was the intent.
Alright.
Okay. You know, if you want to, you can call Joe. I think Joe will be around tomorrow. He'll explain the process,
Okay.
because we do have to do public notification for the neighbors up on those lots, just to make sure that, you know, if anybody had anything to questions or whatever, that they can come before council and get those questions answered, so. Okay, or make comments in regards to that.
Okay.
Did we answer all your questions?
I think so.
Okay.
It was a buildable lot,
Correct.
and then I got an appraisal done on it in 2004 that said that it was zoned R2. So we were planning on building a duplex. And then were shocked when I submitted the plans to our attorney, and he said, don't you realize, he goes, somebody somewhere made it conservation, and we were never notified of that, so.
I mean, I do know a little bit of the history, but not enough to speak wisely about it.
Okay.
All right, but Joe has all that information. There's a letter from our attorney, or from our solicitor, to Joe discussing what exactly needs to be done.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about a timeline before, during, after with the conservation or anything like that, or any surprises?
Hold on 1 second. Oh, wait, hold on. No, it goes December 13th. Hold on, they will have public hearing on December 13th. Prior to that, it will be identified as up for public hearing, so that the neighbors or the people surrounding the particular area are notified that something's happening to that lot, going from conservation to R1.
Okay.
Okay? And again, it gives the public the opportunity to tell council what they feel.
Do they actually get a letter, that kind of notification?
I'm not certain if it goes that far. Joe, do you know? Does it
I
go?
think they do. The surrounding homes around that area.
That's what surprised me, that we were never notified that it went from a buildable lot to conservation.
That'll be something you'll have to talk to the borough manager. He has the background. I do not have.
I see. Okay.
Okay.
All right, very good.
But
Thank you.
certainly call me, or like I said, Joe would be the best one. Joe's very well
Yes.
rounded in this discussion.
Okay,
Okay?
very good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Jim.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. All right, so we have one person that would like to speak after the business meeting, Mr. Fryer.
Oh, yes. With
5 minutes, please.
Well, without taking up my 5 minutes, I'd like to answer your, you showed me the picture of the debris that was at the Bower Hill Road Bridge, the last
Yeah.
thing. What I didn't get to finish telling you was, an engineer told me that if you were coming down McLaughlin Road Creek toward Bridgeville and the asphalt place is on the right, the TAR, he said what happens is the creek makes a 90-degree left turn. And he said when that happens, all the debris goes up against the outside wall and it continues down toward the debris catcher. And in the photographs I showed council, I think the last meeting, there's a 9 or 10 foot gap against that wall. the debris catcher has to be made at least one vertical
That
column
was,
wider.
that was one of the things under discussion with option one of the flood mitigation.
Good. Let me just see what I want. Yeah, can I talk now?
Sure.
Okay. At any rate, I just wanted to mention again that this is the network of roads coming into Bridgeville. The reason that Bridgeville is the center of everything is it was here 100 years before any other villages in the area. And the problem is you have a 4-lane highway coming in from Collier, a 4-lane highway coming in from Safed. You have a 2-lane wide section in between that you have to definitely be aggressive in getting PennDOT to solve the whole problem. And I think at the last meeting, I think Joe Carr mentioned that he'd been talking to PennDOT about doing the north, like from Pressley Road. Don't even get into that. If you allow PennDOT to get away with just doing that section of Washington Avenue, it provides no consumer motorist increase to our business district. Do the whole total package, the two-way couple, the widening of the road from Guacamole Run Road to under the railroad bridge and the Baldwin Street parallel thing. Do the whole thing, and incidentally, that's PennDOT's responsibility to pay for that, to stop the traffic here, not Bridgeville's. I've heard a few of the councilmen or planning commission members be concerned about the cost. I'll tell you what, we've never gotten our fair share of the money to solve that problem, and I have all the facts and the public documents to prove it.
Excuse me,
Yes.
Hey, Karen, Justine,
Yeah,
are you guys not voting for me?
Done voting? Yes.
Voting, yeah.
All right, hey, I'm gonna excuse myself, I got a tow truck here,
okay.
So that's too bad. That's really unfortunate, certainly.
All right, thanks, Mike.
I'm gonna out.
Thank you.
Thanks. Stay safe.
He's changing his tire and trying to get on the game. That's But anyway, my point is, and I'll just finish up here. In the past, and I really came here to tell you that the planning commission is just as important, if not more important, to the people in this community than council. If you aren't elected, there's a long history of decision-making being made by the members of the council, where they were so concerned about alienating 15 people on major development projects, they buried them. This is a newspaper article that says Bridgeville defeats road widening. This is a useless 6-foot widening of the bridge down there for essentially the same reason. This was the real tragedy. This is a photograph of a $10 million redevelopment plan for the central business district. This is the post office. That's Bar Road. Essentially, this was back in the early 1970s when there were hundreds of billions of dollars available to do stuff like this. And this section of Bridgeville was designated as a blighted area. We wouldn't have had to pay anything. But what happened again, members of council went to the businessmen, and the businessmen didn't want to move all the things in their stores to another location for 6 to 9 months while they built that. And I might mention these two white dots with white rectangles on each side. Those were 10-story high condominiums, where in between was the 250-car parking lot. And the reason they always recommend condominiums and not office buildings is those people would have walked to the stores and not gotten in their cars and what. But I just want to emphasize again, please, I beg with you on bended knee, do not present a conservative solution to the traffic congestion problem to PennDOT. Go for the whole thing. Get Collier and Safed involved. Forget Upper St. Clair, because they don't want this business district to succeed. And incidentally, I mentioned before, you weren't here, Joe, but an engineer told me he just got some data from PennDOT last week. The I-79 traffic flow is 70,000 vehicles a day. I was amazed. I thought it would be like 40 or 50. If they build the toll booth there, trust me, half the people are gonna pour through Bridgeville and every other bypass way. And with the system we have now, you can kiss your business district goodbye. And that's all I have to say. You know this.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So any other questions, comments, recommendations? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Hope so.
Anybody opposed?
Are you gonna-
Meeting is adjourned.
Good, thanks.
That's the fastest planning meeting we can get.
Night, guys.